This video will cover the removal of a D24 engine and M46 transmission from a Volvo 240. Depending on a variety of factors, this can take a day or several days. The concept of removing an engine is simple. You want to drain the engine of fluids and disconnect the engine from anything that is retaining it to the car itself. Start by removing the hood via the pair of bolts on each hinge. Disconnect and remove the battery and tray. Place a collector under the engine and drain the cooling system by disconnecting all of the cooling system hoses to the block, heater core, radiator, and reservoir. Unseat and remove the radiator and shroud. Disconnect the vacuum pump hoses. Disconnect the wire harness clip on the firewall. Disconnect the throttle pulley and bracket. Disconnect the send and return lines to the injection pump. Disconnect the glow plug relay and associated wires. Disconnect the power steering hoses from the rack, then slacken and remove the power steering pump. Remove the fan, pulleys, and belts from the front of the engine. Disconnect the air intake hoses and crankcase breather hose from the intake manifold. Remove the wiring from the alternator. And double check for any other wires leading to the engine, which should be disconnected. Lift the car onto jack stands to access the undercarriage. Drain the engine oil. Drain the transmission oil. Disconnect the front exhaust from the rear exhaust. Peel back the rubber boot on the clutch cable. Depress the clutch pedal and insert a block of wood into the void so as to create slack to ease the removal of the rubber buffer and vibration damper. Then disconnect the clutch cable. To disconnect the gear lever, loosen the locking screw and push out the pin. Pull the foam insulation away from the gear lever. Remove the rubber boot and insulation from the shifter on the inside of the car. Disconnect any electrical leads leading to or from the shifter. Remove the reverse indent plate. Remove the lock ring and free the shifter. Remove the plastic bushing and rubber ring. On the transmission, disconnect the reverse light switch. Disconnect the speedometer cable. Disconnect the overdrive solenoid wiring. Remove any other cables leading to or from the transmission and overdrive. Disconnect the propeller shaft from the drive flange. Place a jack under the transmission crossmember for support and disconnect the crossmember from the chassis and the bushing from the transmission. Lower your car back to the ground. Next, though not required, I remove the AC radiator, horn, and front radiator support from the car to facilitate an easier, obstacle-free path for the engine. Disconnect the left and right engine mounts. Position your lift against the front of the car so that its feet are underneath the engine and extend the arm of the crane. Attach a sturdy chain to the engine. Typically, on the D24, there is an engine hook on the power steering bracket, but I removed mine when I needed that part for another car, so I attached a link of the chain to a bolt where the bracket would normally be. I wrapped the rear chain around the back exhaust manifold and connected the two via a coupling at the lift. Next, double check once again that there is indeed nothing connecting the engine or transmission to any part of the vehicle. Double check your chain and lift, and once ready, raise the engine out of the car. Additionally, I had to support the front of the bell housing with a jack to help the oil pan clear the front crossmember. Once the engine is out of the car, gently let the engine down onto a dolly, and you're all done. Enjoy your Volvo 240.